Have you ever felt close to someone, but still completely alone? Their skin is inches from yours. You laugh, you kiss, you hold each other, and yet something's missing. As if invisible hands are pulling you back, shaping you, silencing you, keeping your soul at a distance. This is not just about love. It's about the unseen forces that decide whether we ever truly touch someone or stay strangers in disguise. Now, in this video, we'll explore the strange contradiction of modern intimacy, why we crave closeness more than ever, yet often find ourselves retreating the moment it arrives. We'll uncover the psychological roots of this fear, the hidden traumas that shape our ability to love, and the invisible ties, formed in childhood, culture, and memory, that pull us away from the very connection we long for. This isn't just about romance. It's about identity, touch, and the silent forces that decide whether we ever truly let someone in, or stay just out of reach. You believe a hug, a touch, a shared space means connection, don't you? You've been told, perhaps your entire life, that physical presence is the bedrock of intimacy, the ultimate currency of affection. But what if that closeness, the warmth you chase, is a mirage? What if the hands you hold are miles from your soul? They've taught you that touch heals, that proximity breeds affection, as if it were a simple equation. Has it truly? Or has it merely masked a deeper, more silent chasm between you and the ones you desperately seek to understand and be understood by? How many times have you sat beside someone, skin almost touching, the air thick with unspoken words, and felt an entire universe of truths and unbridged distances yawning between you? So close, yet so profoundly far. Imagine a bridge, shimmering and beautiful, stretching between two distant shores. You can see the other side, you can almost feel the warmth of its lights, the promise of arrival. But with every step you take, the bridge seems to lengthen, the other shore recedes into the mist. This is the landscape of modern connection for so many, a tantalizing proximity that never quite culminates in true arrival. We are wired for connection. It is etched into our very neurobiology, a primal language older than words, a fundamental human imperative. The solace of touch, the reassurance of presence, these are not luxuries, but necessities for our psychological survival. Yet, we find ourselves ensnared in a profound paradox, craving intimacy with an almost desperate intensity, while simultaneously erecting invisible, formidable walls against it. This exploration isn't about the mere absence of people in your life. It's about the absence of resonance, that deep, echoing sense of being truly met. Today, we delve into the uncomfortable, illuminating truth that the most profound connections are often forged not in the simplicity of shared space, but in the courageous, often painful, exploration of these invisible ties, these silent, powerful currents of past wounds, unmet needs, and unconscious programmings that dictate who we let in and who we keep at arm's length, even when they're sleeping right beside us. You've likely been conditioned, by culture, by media, perhaps even by well-meaning advice, to believe that love is a feeling that just happens. That intimacy is a natural, almost automatic byproduct of shared time and mutual attraction. You think if you just find the right person, or spend enough quality time, the barriers that keep you feeling isolated will magically dissolve. You probably believe that a lack of physical affection is the primary, or perhaps only, sign of a failing connection, or that emotional distance is a problem that can be fixed with more date nights, grander gestures, or longer, more articulate conversations. These are comfortable illusions, seductive narratives. But they are illusions nonetheless, and they keep you searching in all the wrong places. Let's begin with the undeniable, the tangible. Science itself whispers the ancient secrets of touch. When skin meets skin, a symphony of chemistry unfolds within you. Oxytocin, often dubbed the love hormone or cuddle chemical, floods your system. This isn't mere sentiment, it's a biological reality. It calms your racing heart, it lowers the barricades of cortisol-driven stress. Your nervous system, that vigilant sentinel, sighs in relief, feeling a momentary sense of safety and belonging. This is real. This is the biological imperative for closeness, a nonverbal language of safety, presence, and care that our bodies instinctively understand, a language we learn before we even utter our first word. It's why a mother's embrace can soothe a crying child when all words fail, why a friend's hand on your shoulder in a moment of crisis can feel like an anchor in a turbulent sea. But here's the part no one tells you with the same fervor, the critical addendum to this beautiful biological story, this powerful mechanism, this elegant dance of neurochemicals designed to connect and soothe, can be hijacked. It can be distorted, even corrupted, by experiences that teach your body, your very cells, a different, more dangerous lesson about what closeness entails. What happens when the very system designed to draw you into the warmth of connection becomes a trigger for profound, inexplicable fear? Think of the foundational research, the stark illustrations from studies on early childhood development. Consider Harlow's monkeys, who, even when provided with sustenance, overwhelmingly chose the comfort of a soft, cloth surrogate over a wire mother. It was a poignant demonstration that the need for comfort, for touch, is as fundamental as the need for food. Yet, even in those early studies, the quality, the consistency, and the safety of that touch were the silent arbiters of healthy emotional and psychological development. Not all touch is created equal. Not all proximity brings peace. This brings us, inevitably, into the shadowlands of human connection, the realm of trauma. Early relational trauma, the experiences of neglect, the sting of chronic criticism, the chaos of inconsistency, the devastating impact of emotional or physical abandonment, the betrayals that occur when we are most vulnerable and dependent. These experiences carve deep, often invisible ravines in our capacity for intimacy. They create a devastating, life-altering paradox, an intense, almost unbearable longing for the very closeness that simultaneously feels profoundly threatening. You crave the warmth, the acceptance, the feeling of being held, but you flinch from the flame, terrified of being burned again. Why? Because your history, etched not just in your memory but in your nervous system's very architecture, has taught your body that vulnerability is a prelude to pain. That opening up, letting someone in, is an invitation for hurt, for disappointment, for re-experiencing that original agony. Have you ever found yourself sabotaging a connection just as it begins to deepen? Pushing away the very person who offers the understanding, the kindness, the stability you've yearned for your entire life? This isn't malice. This isn't a flaw in your character. It is often a deeply ingrained survival mechanism, a testament to past battles your soul still remembers, a shield your psyche refuses to lower. This is the silent, often misunderstood agony of touch hunger in those who have known significant relational wounds, or even in those who present to the world as fiercely independent, emotionally avoidant personalities. They may seek fleeting physical encounters, a temporary balm for a deeper ache, a momentary illusion of connection, but recoil from the sustained, soul-bearing intimacy that true connection demands. The body, you see, remembers what the conscious mind desperately tries to forget or rationalize away. That flinch, that hesitation, that urge to flee when someone gets too close, it's a story being told by your cells. Now, let's take it deeper, beneath the surface of conscious fear, into the realm of our invisible emotional programming. These are your attachment styles, predominantly anxious, avoidant, disorganized, or, if fortunate, secure. These styles are forged in the crucible of your earliest bonds, primarily with your caregivers, and they become the unseen architects of how you give and receive affection, how you navigate conflict, what you expect from relationships, and what you unconsciously seek in a partner. They are the silent scripts that run in the background of your relational operating system. The anxiously attached individual, for instance, might crave constant reassurance, their desire for closeness so intense, so demanding, it inadvertently suffocates their partners and pushes them away, fulfilling their deepest fear of abandonment. The avoidant individual, conversely, might equate intimacy with engulfment, with a loss of self, prizing independence to a fault, creating an impenetrable fortress around their heart, maintaining distance even when they care deeply. The disorganized, often a product of frightening or unpredictable caregiving, are caught in a painful oscillation between these poles, a confusing and distressing dance of approach and retreat, yearning for connection one moment, terrified of it the next. Think of it like this. Some of us are programmed from a young age to chase, believing that love and approval must be earned through relentless pursuit, through constant effort, through being good enough. Others are programmed to withdraw, believing that true safety lies only in self-reliance, that depending on another is a fool's errand. And some are drawn, with an almost magnetic, often inexplicable pull, to partners who mirror the very dysfunctions of their past, the emotionally unavailable parent, the critical caregiver, the chaotic relationship that defined their early years. Why this cruel repetition? Because familiarity, even painful familiarity, can feel like home to the wounded psyche. Healthy, secure love, in contrast, can feel unnervingly foreign, even boring or unsafe, because it doesn't fit the script we know. What if the type you're consistently drawn to isn't a conscious preference, but a subconscious pattern? A repetition of an old story you're desperately, unconsciously trying to rewrite, often with the same tragic, predictable ending because you haven't yet learned to recognize the original manuscript. You've been told that opposites attract, a charming but often misleading aphorism. You've been sold a romantic ideal that love conquers all, that passion and intense chemistry are the ultimate, infallible indicators of a lasting, meaningful bond. But what if these are convenient narratives, societal platitudes that keep us from the uncomfortable, necessary work of examining our own internal programming? What if that intense, all-consuming chemistry you sometimes feel is not a sign of soulmate connection, but a signal that your unresolved wounds have found a familiar, albeit painful, echo in another person? You believe, perhaps with all your heart, that if you just communicate more, if you just find the right words, you can bridge any gap, solve any conflict. But what if the language you're speaking, a language of emotional vulnerability, of deep yearning for understanding, is one your partner, due to their own invisible ties, their own unexamined scripts, literally cannot comprehend? You are speaking of oceans of feeling, and they are thinking of arid deserts of logic or fear. The words are there, the physical presence is there, but the emotional resonance, the true meeting of minds and hearts, is lost in translation, creating a profound sense of loneliness even in companionship. This brings us to a profound, often unspoken sorrow, a grief that festers in the quiet corners of countless lives, the tragedy of emotional distance despite physical proximity. Being in the same room, sharing the same bed, hands brushing in the course of daily life, yet feeling an unbridgeable chasm, a universe of difference. This is the silent grief of intimacy without resonance. It's the dull, persistent ache of being seen but not truly felt, of touching but not truly connecting on a soul level. So close, yet so far. So close, you can hear their breath as they sleep beside you. So far, you cannot hear the whispers of their heart, nor their yours. This isn't always about grand, dramatic betrayals or explosive arguments. More often, it's about the slow, insidious erosion of connection, the quiet drift into separate emotional worlds while still inhabiting the same physical space. It's a loneliness that is all the more poignant because it occurs in the very presence of another. How many of us are living this quiet desperation, performing intimacy, going through the motions of connection, meticulously maintaining the facade of a normal relationship, while a vital part of our soul remains untouched, unseen, slowly starving for a deeper acknowledgement, a genuine meeting? The tragedy here, let us be clear, is not always the absence of love. Often, love is present, perhaps deeply so, but it is a love that is damaged, distorted, or unable to be fully expressed or received, damaged by fear, by ego, by the heavy ghosts of unresolved pasts, by the invisible scripts we blindly follow, generation after generation. It's the particular agony of trying to touch someone, to reach someone, who is emotionally, spiritually, just out of your grasp. You offer your hand, open and willing, and they offer theirs, perhaps, but the current, that vital spark of true connection, doesn't flow. It's like two wires, side by side, but the insulation is too thick. But there's more to it. We must venture further into the unseen. Beyond our conscious awareness, beyond even our learned attachment patterns, we are tethered by even more elusive invisible ties, the subconscious forces, the energetic imprints, that connect or separate us in ways we rarely comprehend. Think of the undeniable pull of unresolved past relationships, the lover you never quite got over, the one whose ghost still subtly, or not so subtly, shapes your expectations, your fears, and your desires in every new encounter. This is not mere memory, it's an active energetic imprint, a frequency that still resonates within you, often drawing similar energies back into your field. Consider the psychological phenomenon of transference, a cornerstone of psychoanalytic thought, but a daily reality for us all. We unconsciously project feelings, attitudes, and characteristics of significant figures from our past, most often parents or early caregivers, onto our present partners, our friends, even our colleagues. Suddenly, your partner isn't just your partner. They become the embodiment of your unmet childhood needs for validation, or the reincarnation of a critical authority figure whose approval you still desperately seek. Is it any wonder, then, that we often find ourselves drawn, with an almost compulsive force, to people who uncannily mirror our deepest wounds, rather than our healthiest wants? It's the psyche's relentless, often misguided, attempt to heal, to finally get it right this time, frequently by reenacting the original trauma in the hopes of a different outcome. The highest form of understanding this isn't just academic, a detached intellectual exercise. It is the very key to breaking these painful, repetitive cycles, but it requires a level of courage, a willingness to look into the abyss of your own making, that most are unwilling or unequipped to summon. And here lies a crucial, often terrifying truth, one that many will spend their lives avoiding. Intimacy is a mirror. A brutally honest, unforgiving mirror. When someone truly sees you, when they truly touch the core of your being, beyond the masks and the pretenses, it can feel unbearable. Why? Because that profound connection doesn't just reflect back your light, your strengths, your admirable qualities. It illuminates your shadows, your shame, your deepest insecurities, your carefully concealed vulnerabilities, your unfinished, imperfect self. The very act of being loved and accepted for who you authentically are can trigger an avalanche of unworthiness if your inner landscape is riddled with self-rejection, with messages that you are not enough. This is why vulnerability, the absolute bedrock of true intimacy, is so profoundly daunting for so many. It's not just about sharing your secrets or your past stories. It's about allowing another person to witness the parts of you that you yourself have judged, condemned, and deemed unlovable. It's the raw, unfiltered beauty and the stark, visceral terror of being truly seen, flaws and all, without the armor. And for many, the ingrained reflex, honed over years of self-protection, is to pull away, to hide, to deflect, to protect that fragile, wounded self, even if it means sacrificing the very connection they crave more than anything. You chase the illusion of perfect love from a perfect partner, hoping they will complete you, that their love will magically erase your insecurities. But real, sustainable intimacy demands something far more radical, that you first face your own incompleteness, that you dare to be seen in your entirety, and that you cultivate the courage to offer that same unwavering, compassionate gaze to another imperfect human being. We arrive now at the precipice of a transformative understanding, a point of no return if you are truly willing to see. The struggle for genuine connection, for an intimacy that transcends the superficial, the transactional, the performative, is nothing short of an invisible war. It's not a war fought on external battlefields with tangible weapons. It is fought within the quiet, often turbulent, landscapes of our own hearts and minds. It's a war against our ingrained fears, our inherited traumas, our societal conditioning that relentlessly tells us to armor up, to perform, to seek validation instead of cultivating authentic presence. The philosopher Martin Buber, in his seminal work, spoke of two fundamental ways of relating, I-it and I-thou. In an I-it relationship, we treat the other as an object, a means to an end, for our comfort, for our validation, for status, for fulfilling a role. There is physical presence, perhaps even interaction, but no true meeting of beings. The other is a utility. But in an I-thou relationship, we encounter the other in their full, unique being, with reverence, with openness, without agenda, in the present moment. This is where true connection sparks. This is the sacred space where souls can, however fleetingly, genuinely touch, where the illusion of separation momentarily dissolves. And here's the part no one tells you, the wisdom buried beneath layers of self-help cliches. The highest form of this connection, this I-thou meeting, isn't about finding someone who never triggers your wounds, who never challenges you, who exists solely to affirm your perfect image of yourself. That is a fantasy. It's about finding someone, or becoming someone, with whom you can navigate those triggers, those inevitable moments of friction and misunderstanding, together, with consciousness and compassion. It's about recognizing that the gap between souls, the inherent separateness of individual experience, can never be fully bridged by human effort alone, but the attempt, the courageous, consistent reaching across that sacred space with presence, with empathy, with a fierce willingness to truly see and be truly seen. That is where the divine magic lies. Presence, not perfection, defines true intimacy. Repetition and refrain, delivered with sermon-like intensity. Power, connection, presence. These are the true weapons, the true currencies, in this invisible war for authentic human relationship. Not control, not manipulation, not performance, not the hollow illusion of effortless closeness. Contrast and reversal, the core challenge. You've been taught to chase affirmations, to seek partners who make you feel good all the time, to avoid conflict as a sign of weakness or incompatibility. But listen closely, you chase that fleeting validation, that superficial comfort, and you inevitably lose the chance for depth, for resilience, for a love that can weather real storms. Hold space for the discomfort. Hold space for the difficult truths, for the authentic messiness of two imperfect souls learning to dance together, to attune to each other's rhythms. And they don't crumble, you both rise, forged stronger in the fires of honest engagement. What if the greatest act of love, the most profound form of touch, is not to shield someone from their pain, or yours, but to be willing to stand with them, and with yourself, in the very heart of it, offering not solutions, but unwavering presence. So, we stand at this juncture, perhaps a little shaken, perhaps a little more awake. We begin to realize, with a clarity that can be both daunting and liberating, that the path to profound connection, to an intimacy that truly nourishes the soul, is not paved with mere physical proximity or effortless harmony. It is, first and foremost, a journey inward. A journey to understand the invisible ties that shape our interactions, our traumas, our attachment patterns, our subconscious projections, the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we deserve. The paradigm shift, the fundamental reorientation we are called to, is this: stop seeking connection outside as a panacea for an internal void or an unhealed wound. The pervasive feeling of so close, yet so far isn't just a description of a disappointing relationship. It's often a direct reflection of our own internal state of fragmentation, our own distance from ourselves. True intimacy, the kind that endures and transforms, begins when you dare to bridge the distance within your own being. When you can offer yourself unwavering presence, radical understanding, and boundless compassion for your own wounds, your own imperfections, you create the sacred space for another to truly meet you there, in that authenticity. The silence you might avoid so much, the solitude you might instinctively fear, these are not the enemies of connection. They are the fertile ground where self-awareness can finally blossom, allowing you to gently, patiently untangle those invisible threads of past conditioning and choose, consciously, with newfound wisdom, how you want to connect, who you want to become in relationship. The touch that once felt like a profound risk, a trigger for old pain, can then, and only then, become a true sanctuary, a genuine meeting of two whole, sovereign beings, not two fragmented halves desperately seeking completion in another. So next time you feel that familiar ache of so close, yet so far, whether with a lover, a friend, a family member, or even within the complex corridors of your own heart, remember this: the real journey isn't about desperately trying to close the physical gap, or forcing a connection that isn't organically unfolding. It's about illuminating and beginning the courageous work of healing the invisible ties that bind you to old patterns. True power in connection isn't about control or demand. It's about courageous presence, authentic vulnerability, and the willingness to meet yourself and others exactly where you are. I want you to reflect on this deeply. Comment below: what is one invisible tie, a past experience, a learned belief about love, or an emotional pattern you've inherited that you now recognize has profoundly shaped your ability to connect deeply with others, or perhaps even with yourself? Sharing this, even anonymously, is an act of courage, a step towards collective healing. If this exploration resonated with you, if you're ready to delve deeper into the strategies of the mind, the mysteries of the heart, and the art of authentic living, then subscribe for more breakdowns that challenge conventional wisdom and empower you to build a more conscious, connected, and meaningful life. Click that notification bell, because the journey into understanding ourselves and each other is relentless, it is ongoing, and for those who are willing, it is just beginning. The path to true intimacy, to connections that don't just touch your skin but resonate with the deepest chords of your soul, is not for the faint of heart. It demands courage. It demands unwavering honesty. It demands a relentless commitment to your own evolution. But the reward? A connection that is real, resilient, and profoundly transformative. Until next time, keep exploring those invisible ties. Keep choosing presence,